is it, do you think, that you're able to cross over when so many others aren't able to, from R&B to pop? I mean, it's like a natural for you. You have something within your records that everybody just loves.
Boy, I couldn't say. I just created, and I'm honored that the public enjoy what I do. I couldn't explain why, the anatomy of why it happens.
There's a formula?
Not that I know of. It's my heart. I put my heart in it.
You put your heart in it?
Yeah.
When you go about writing, what happens?
Songs come at the strangest times. I could be walking through a park or something, and it'll just hit you. It's no set time that I write. They come. I wrote a song in the Concorde, 58,000 feet in the air, and I didn't have a tape recorder, so I had to remember it. And I got home and put it on tape, so they just come.
Where do you think the gift came from?
God.
At this age, you're 24? 24?
30.
30?
No, 24.
Hard to believe Michael is 50, and it's even harder to believe it's been a decade since he left the game for good. But in that time, he's been able to put his accomplishments in perspective.
I'm sure that each one of your 6 NBA championships have a special place. Is there one that matters a little more than the other? Is one that's really special out of those 6?
The Chicago Bulls have won their first ever NBA championship. The Chicago Bulls have won for the second straight season.
The third world championship in a row.
Make it 4 in 6 years. Their 5th championship.
The Chicago Bulls have won their 6th NBA championship.
That's tough, you know, because it's like, you know, if I had 6 kids,
yeah.
Now you ask me which one of those kids is my favorite. You know, that's tough, you know, and they each got different personality, you know. If I had to pick one, I would say, you know, the 4th.
Michael, I know that the first one was sweet, but how much sweeter was this one?
Well, you know, I can't even put it in words. My Father's Day, what it means to me. I know he's watching. This is for Daddy.
This is the final question. Can you repeat the following after me and then fill in the blank? The greatest thing about the game of basketball is...
The greatest thing about the game of basketball to me is the passion, and the love that I have for it. You know, because when you have love for anything, you'll go to the extreme to maintain that love. That's what love does. It love drives you to do everything you need to maintain that connection. If I didn't have the love for the game of basketball, all the things that I just panned out to you in my career would have never been achievable for me. But it was truly my love for the game that kept me pushing to be the best basketball player that I could be. To be the best at anything, you gotta have a certain love for that to make you overcome all the obstacles that's gonna be thrown in your way.
Jordan, a drive, hangs, fires, yes!
That's what the game of basketball has been for me.
And as for Michael Jordan, all the superlatives have been exhausted and almost all apply. His heart, his athletic integrity, every bit as impressive as his artistry.
But here's the thing. I didn't quit. I didn't fall back. I walked out of there to prepare for the next audition, and the next audition, and the next audition. I prayed. I prayed, and I prayed. But I continued to fail, and fail, and fail. But it didn't matter, because you know what? There's an old saying, you hang around the barbershop long enough, sooner or later you're going to get a haircut. So you will catch a break, and I did catch a break. Last year, I did a play called Fences on Broadway. Someone talked about it. Won the Tony Award. And I didn't have to sing, by the way. But here's the kicker. It was at the Court Theater. It was at the same theater that I failed that first audition 30 years prior. The point is, and I'll pick up the pace, the point is every graduate here today has the training and the talent to succeed. But do you have the guts to fail? Here's my second point about failure. If you don't fail, you're not even trying. I'll say it again. If you don't fail, you're not even trying. My wife told me this great expression. To get something you never had, you have to do something you never did. Les Brown's a motivational speaker. He made an analogy about this. He says, imagine you're on your deathbed, and standing around your deathbed are the ghosts representing your unfulfilled potential. The ghost of the ideas you never acted on. The ghost of the talents you didn't use. And they're standing around your bed, angry, disappointed, and upset. They say, we came to you because you could have brought us to life, they say. And now we have to go to the grave together. So I ask you today, how many ghosts are going to be around your bed when your time comes? You've invested a lot in your education, and people have invested in you. And let me tell you, the world needs your talents. Man, does it ever. I just got back from Africa like 2 days ago, so if I'm rambling on, it's because I'm jet lagged. I just got back from South Africa. It's a beautiful country, but there are places there with terrible poverty that need help. And Africa is just the tip of the iceberg. The Middle East needs your help. Japan needs your help. Alabama needs your help. Tennessee needs your help. Louisiana needs your help. Philadelphia needs your help. The world needs a lot, and we need it from you. We really do. We need it from you young people. I mean, I'm not speaking for the rest of us up here, but I know I'm getting a little grayer. We need it from you, the young people, because remember this. So you got to get out there. You got to give it everything you got, whether it's your time, your talent, your prayers, or your treasures. Because remember this. You will never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. I'll say it again. You will never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. You can't take it with you. The Egyptians tried it, and all they got was robbed. So the question is, what are you going to do with what you have? I'm not talking about how much you have. Some of you are business majors. Some of you are theologians, nurses, sociologists. Some of you have money. Some of you have patience. Some of you have kindness. Some of you have love. Some of you have the gift of long suffering. Whatever it is, whatever your gift is, what are you going to do with what you have? All right, now here's my last point about failure. Sometimes it's the best way to figure out where you're going. Your life will never be a straight path. I began at Fordham University as a pre-med student. I took a course called cardiac morphogenesis. I still can't say it. Cardiac morphogenesis. I couldn't read it. I couldn't say it. I sure couldn't pass it. So then I decided to go into pre-law, then journalism. And with no academic focus, my grades took off in their own direction. Yeah, down. I was a 1.8 GPA one semester, and the university very politely suggested that it might be better to take some time off. I was 20 years old. I was at my lowest point. And then one day, and I remember the exact day, March 27th, 1975, I was helping my mother in her beauty shop. My mother owned a beauty shop up in Mount Vernon. And there was this older woman who was considered one of the elders in the town. And I didn't know her personally, but I was looking in the mirror, and every time I looked at the mirror, I could see her behind me, and she was staring at me. She just kept looking at me. Every time I looked at her, she kept giving me these strange looks. So she finally took the dryer off her head and she said something I'll never forget. First of all, she said, "Somebody give me a piece of paper. Give me a piece of paper." She said, "Young boy, I have a prophecy, a spiritual prophecy." She said, "You are going to travel the world and speak to millions of people." Now, mind you, I'm 20 years old. I'm flunked out of school. In fact, like a wise ass, I'm thinking to myself, maybe she's got something in that crystal ball about me getting back into school next fall. But maybe she was on to something, because later that summer, while working as a counselor at the YMCA camp in Connecticut, we put on a talent show for the campers. And after the show, another counselor came up to me and asked, "Have you ever thought about acting? You're good at that." So when I got back to Fordham that fall, I got in and I changed my major once again for the last time. And in the years that followed, just as that woman prophesied, I have traveled the world and I have spoken to millions of people through my movies. Millions who up till this day couldn't see me, who up till this day I couldn't see while I was talking to them, and they couldn't see me. They could only see the movie. They couldn't see the real me. But I see you today, and I'm encouraged by what I see. And I'm strengthened by what I see. And I love what I see.
First of all, you have to make sure that this thing is for you and it's who you are, and you're built for this, you know, and then you have to give it the passion that's necessary. You know, like I said, I don't do it for the money. The money is going to come. I do it because of the love that I have for it. You know what I'm saying? If I was a plumber or something like that, I still would make hip-hop records. That's how much love I have for it, you know? I feel like right now, I've been in the game close to 27 years, and I've actually thought about this just recently. Out of the entire my 27-year career, there's only been 2 weeks that I've been out of the studio. I've never been out of the studio longer than 2 weeks in my entire career. That's how much love I have for this thing that I do. So that's the thing, just the passion that you have for it, and really, really put your all into it, and make sure that your word is the last word. That way, you don't play the blame game or anything like that. If it comes out hot, it's on you. If it doesn't come out hot, it's on you. You know what I'm saying? That's all it is to it.
Many of you, as I have been, as I am, are where you are in your life based upon what you believe. And it's not just what you think you believe on the surface, it's also your shadow beliefs that are holding you back from moving into the life that you believe you deserve. What I know is if you're not looking at the shadows, if you're not looking at what is subconsciously running through the tape in your mind, telling yourself you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough, you're not smart enough, you're not enough, which is a tape that's playing for a lot of people. If you're not conscious of that, then you end up acting out of that belief system and not out of what you know to be the truest or want to be the truest for yourself. But you don't become what you want, because so much of wanting is about living in the space of what you don't have. That's why Jim Carrey's story is so powerful, because he started to act as though he already had it. He would go up to Mulholland Drive, he would drive away thinking, I already have those things, I just haven't accessed them as yet. I believe those things are going to come to me and I'm going to act like they are, so I'm going to move forward in my life in order to draw that to myself in such a way that my actions are in alignment with what I say I believe. So if you start to think about that, really, why are you where you are in your life? The choices that you have made have been because of what you believe to be true for yourself.
Get out of this mind state of, I ain't unless I got money. Get out of this mind state of, I have no hope I should stop just dreaming and having visions and ideas about my life and my career because I don't have it financially. Also, stop putting so much emphasis on famous people, celebrities, and stars. If I were to mention Malcolm Gladwell, who is Malcolm Gladwell? Who is Pablo Coelho? Do you know who that man is? What does he look like? Pablo Coelho. Who is he? Now, the folks that have read the book, you're gonna write in the notes, Pablo Coelho and Malcolm Gladwell. There it is. There that. You're gonna know. Do you know who they are? You were just in the mall shopping right now. You could have walked right by Pablo Coelho and not even know who he was. Why? He's a multi-million selling author. Very successful. And you don't know who the fuck he is. You don't know what he looks like unless you Google him and look him up. So understand, y'all, stop giving power to celebrity. Stop giving power to being the person on camera. Stop giving all the power to money. Continue to dream big. Continue to have hopes, ambitions. I've learned to dream with my eyes open. When I see it, I get exposed to it, I want to be it. My job and my responsibility at this point is to give hope to the hopeless, to give inspiration to the uninspired, to motivate the unmotivated. Because it's not lonely at the top if you help somebody else get there. I love you. This is my life. What I'm doing with my life and my success, the money I'm making and the places y'all see me going, that's my story. These are the things that God had in mind for me. Don't be jealous, don't be envious, don't be hating, don't be writing negative and up comments about my life. This is my story. And when you see me posting videos on helicopters and at royal palaces doing this and doing that, I'm not being flamboyant and flashing. What I'm doing is, through success, I represent the possibility of what you can achieve and what you can do with your life and your career. Other people's success represents the possibility of what you can do. Those are the records that you can sell. Those are the type of tours that you can do. Those are the kind of songs that you can produce and the songs that you can write. Those are the millions of dollars that you can get, or billions. Those are the type of architectural drawings and buildings that you can build. Those are the type of books that you could sell. Everybody else's success represents the possibility of what you could do. But if you don't believe you can do it, guess what? You're going to be some janky-ass, lazy, bum-ass, depressed, sad, miserable person that wants to invite everybody to your pity party so that they can feel sorry for you because you grew up in a dysfunctional house. You grew up in an abuse, you were molested, you were touched, you were raped, things happened to you that were unfortunate and sad, which is something that can fuck you up psychologically. And is something that could cause you to sit on the pity potty and swim in misery and find yourself not being motivated and inspired to do anything. But guess what? Get off the pity potty. Get your ass out the house. Stop being antisocial. No one is ever going to have you in mind for anything if you're not seen and you're not on people's radars. If you live in the middle of the jungle and freaking Shreveport, Louisiana, some damn where in the middle of the nowhere. No disrespect to Shreveport. I love my fans out there. But if you're an actress or a model or somebody who's looking to do something impactful, ain't nobody gonna find your ass in no Shreveport. Come on, man. Out of sight, out of mind. No one's ever gonna have you in mind for anything if you're not on their radar. People give me love and invite me into their homes and they want to socialize and hang out with me, but they wouldn't want to do it if I didn't show up. No one will ever have you in mind for the things that you have in mind for yourself. I think I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do that. Okay, cool. It's beautiful. But how the fuck is anybody going to know that if they don't see you, if you're not on their radar? And you may look at it as fake. You may look at it as thirsty. You may look at it as you're sweating people and being in everybody's face. That's your pride and your ego. Pride and ego is the #1 marriage, relationship, and career killer. I'll say it again. Pride and ego is the #1 relationship, marriage, and business and career killer. What I look like, sweating, you being all thirsty, all up in his face, trying to talk about this little project that I got. Okay, what do you look like not talking about it? You gonna take your ass at home and talk to your friends who can't do shit to help you to get your visions and ideas off the ground? All they gonna, yo, I got this idea, it's crazy. Tell me about it. Yo, I had this vision, right? And then they gonna listen to what you gotta say, and they're not gonna do a fucking thing for you. Understand. Understand, people. I love you. If this right here makes you uncomfortable, it's supposed to. While y'all are looking at my life and everything that I'm posting and all the videos and the moves that I'm making, I love my life. I have no complaints. Whether I got all the money in the world or not, what I have is I have God and I have joy.
Lately, my campaign criticized because I talk about hope too much. Oh, he's talking about hope again. He's so naive. He's so idealistic. His head's in the clouds. He's a hope monger. He needs a reality check. He's peddling false hopes. False hopes. False hopes. The notion is, apparently, that if you talk about hope, you must not have a clear view of reality. That you must just be, going around happy as can be, ignorant of those mean Republicans out there, all the barriers that stand in your way. Listen, it's true I talk about hope a lot. I talk about hope because it's very unlikely that I'm standing on this stage here tonight. I was born to a teenage mom. My father left when I was 2. I was raised by a single mother and my grandparents. They didn't have money and they didn't have wealth. They had no status. They gave me love, they gave me an education, and they gave me hope. And so I do talk about hope. We put hope on our signs. I delivered a speech in Boston about hope. I wrote a book called The Audacity of Hope. But this notion that somehow hopes are false, that implies that hope is blind optimism, that you're passive, that you're waiting and sitting back for good things to happen, that you're shirking from a fight. That's not what hope is. Hope is not blind optimism. Hope is not ignoring the challenges that stand in your way. I know how hard it will be to bring about change in this country. I know how hard it's going to be to deliver on universal health care. If it was easy, it would have already been done. I know how difficult it will be to bring about a sensible energy policy in this country. ExxonMobil made $11 billion this past quarter. They don't want to give up their profits easily. I know how hard it will be to alleviate poverty in places like inner city Milwaukee or the south side of Chicago. That poverty is built up over generations, over centuries. Same thing in the reservations. There's a long history there that we've never fully accounted for. I know how hard it will be to fix our schools because it's not just a function of money. It is a function of changing attitudes. We're going to have to change how we teach our children. We're going to have to change how we nurture them. We're going to have to parent. And changing culture is a hard thing. I know because I have fought on the streets as an organizer. I have fought in the courts as a civil rights attorney. I have fought in the legislature, and I've won some good fights. But I've also lost some fights because I know good intentions are not enough when not fortified with political will and political power. I've seen how politics can be used to make us afraid of each other and how we turn on each other, how fear can cloud our judgment. And suddenly we start scapegoating gay people or immigrants or people who don't look like us or Muslims because our own lives aren't going well. I know how hard change is. But Democrats, I also know this. I also know this, that nothing in this country worthwhile has ever happened except somebody somewhere was willing to hope. That's how this country was founded, by that greatest generation, by that group of patriots that declared independence against the mighty British Empire. Nobody gave them a chance. That's how slaves and abolitionists resisted that wicked system, and how a new president charted a course to ensure this country would not remain half slave and half free. That is how the greatest generation, my grandparents' generation, my grandfather fighting in World War II, my grandmother staying behind with a baby working on a bomber assembly line, how that greatest generation defeated Hitler and lifted itself up out of a Great Depression. That's how we populated the West, pioneers with great courage but also hope. That's how immigrants came from distant shores, uncertain about what they would find when they arrived, but knowing they wanted a better life for their children. That is how workers won the right to organize against violence and intimidation. That's how women won the right to vote. That's how young people traveled south to march and to sit in and to be beaten, and some went to jail and some died for freedom's cause. That's what hope is. That's what hope is. Imagining and then fighting for and then working for what did not seem possible before. That's leadership. John F. Kennedy didn't look up at the moon and say, "Oh, that's too far. We can't go." False hopes. Martin Luther King didn't stand on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial and say, "Go home, everybody, the dream's deferred." False hopes. Y'all need a reality check. There is a moment in the life of every generation when that spirit of hopefulness has to come through if we are to make our mark on history. When we cast aside the fear and the doubt and the cynicism and we stop settling for what the cynics tell us we have to settle for, when we join together and we decide that we are going to roll up our sleeves and we are going to remake this country block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood, county by county, state by state. When we decide in our guts, when we are determined that our children and grandchildren deserve the same chance as somebody gave us, when we make a determination and we are willing to fight on the basis of the conviction that we are going to keep the dream alive for those who still yearn for justice and still thirst for opportunity.
All we say to America is be true to what you said on paper. If I lived in China or even Russia or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they haven't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right. And so just as I say we aren't going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around, we aren't going to let any injunction turn us around. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And he's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Don't be down, you're a king, you're a queen. Seek peace in you, promised land is near you. Depression is illusion, don't get it confusing. Don't lose hope, keep on rocking. That's my solid statement, African shield equipment. I talk like my father, future generation. Have a celebration, mind Sudanese vibration. Yeah, say what? Have a celebration, mind Sudanese vibration. Haters wanna see you down. Stand up, say what? Stand up. Snakes wanna see you drown. Stand up, we gotta stand up. You weak laying on the ground. Stand up, say what? Stand up. Real sound golden crown. Stand up, what's up, we all up. Allah Yasalima, Allah Yasalimi. Dark forces create in your spirits. Therefore, I pray for the planet Earth. Life is precious, mind game dangerous. Choose your words wisely. I walk smoothly like Michael Jackson.